Elisa Lamb, Cecil Hotel. In January 2013, 21-year-old Canadian student Elisa Lamb checked into the Cecil Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. She was traveling alone, keeping a blog about her trip and plans for the future. For several days, she explored the city, sharing photos and stories online. Then, she stopped posting. Police reviewed hotel security footage and found a final recording. Elisa stepping in and out of an elevator, pressing multiple buttons, pausing as if someone might be nearby. It became one of the most analyzed clips on the internet. Days turned into weeks with no trace of her. Then guests began complaining about low water pressure and an unusual taste from the taps. Maintenance workers climbed to the roof to inspect the water tanks and made a discovery that ended the search. Investigators ruled the case an accidental drowning, though the questions never faded. How she reached the locked rooftop and accessed a sealed tank remained unexplained. The hotel, later renamed, tried to move past its reputation. Yet the story became legend, an intersection of mental health, city isolation, and unanswered mystery that still draws curiosity more than a decade later. Sapporo Gas Explosion. December 16, 2018 was an ordinary winter evening in Sapporo, Japan. Temperatures hovered well below freezing as workers at a small real estate office finished their day. Before closing, they began puncturing over 100 unused aerosol cans, unaware that gas propellant was still inside. The fumes built up quickly in the enclosed basement beneath the small hotel. Around 8:30 p.m., a nearby water heater switched on. The spark ignited the air, creating a powerful explosion that destroyed the office and set the hotel above on fire. Windows blew out across the block. Cars were overturned and nearby diners were thrown from their seats. Dozens of people were injured. One man who had been standing near the blast site later died from his injuries. The shockwave rattled the entire neighborhood, leaving shattered glass and debris across the snow-covered street. Investigators found no criminal intent, only a lack of understanding about how aerosol vapors can linger. The event prompted new disposal regulations and public safety campaigns across Japan. Today, the cleared site stands as a small open lot, a reminder that a single spark and a few seconds of carelessness can turn an ordinary night into a catastrophe. Sharon Williams, Hyatt Regency. During a short business trip in December 2002, 44-year-old Sharon Williams checked into the Hyatt Regency in Dallas. She spoke to her husband by phone that evening, then prepared to rest before an early meeting. The next morning, she failed to answer calls, prompting hotel staff to check her room. They found her in the bathroom, where investigators later determined a newly installed lighted mirror had been wired incorrectly during renovations. The metal frame had become energized, sending current into the surrounding plumbing and fixtures. It was a small oversight in design that led to a deadly electrical surge. Building inspectors soon discovered identical problems in several other rooms, exposing widespread neglect in contractor supervision. The incident prompted statewide changes to hotel construction standards, requiring new certification for electrical safety in wet areas. It also reshaped the Hyatt's internal maintenance protocols, adding layers of inspection before any room reopened to guests. Sharon's case became widely discussed in engineering seminars and safety bulletins, a textbook example of how a seemingly minor installation error can cause irreversible loss. Mary Reeser, St. Petersburg. On the morning of July 2, 1951, landlord Pansy Carpenter unlocked Mary Reeser's apartment after smelling smoke seeping into the hallway. Inside, she found a scene that puzzled every investigator who entered. The chair where Mary had been sitting was destroyed, yet much of the surrounding room was intact, curtains still hanging, papers nearby barely scorched. Only partial remains were found, suggesting a heat source so concentrated that it burned without spreading. Firefighters and police found no evidence of accelerant or equipment failure. The FBI analyzed residues but could not identify any chemical cause. Some believed she had fallen asleep while smoking, igniting her clothing, while others argued that the low, intense burn matched what would later be called the wick effect. Scientists used the case to study how materials, Body composition and airflow could create isolated burn zones. Though modern researchers have offered plausible explanations, none fit perfectly. The mystery appeared in newspapers and scientific journals around the world, sparking debate about combustion and forensic limitations. More than 70 years later, Mary Reeser's case remains one of the most discussed, unexplained domestic fires in the United States. An event that turned a small Florida apartment into a scientific riddle that endures. MGM Grand Fire. At dawn on November 21, 1980, employees of the MGM Grand Hotel began their morning routines as tourists slept in more than 2,000 rooms above. In the casino, a small electrical fault behind a pastry counter ignited wiring in the wall. Within minutes, smoke filled the gaming floor and rose through elevator shafts to the upper stories. Fire alarms malfunctioned on several levels, leaving many guests unaware until it was too late. Thick, black smoke quickly overtook corridors. Firefighters arrived within minutes but found stairwells blocked by toxic air and poor ventilation. Rescue helicopters began airlifting guests from the roof while others signaled from broken windows. By mid-morning, the fire was out, but 85 people had lost their lives, most from smoke inhalation. The official report uncovered numerous safety failures, missing sprinklers, sealed exits, and minimal emergency training. The catastrophe changed building regulations worldwide. Automatic sprinkler systems became mandatory in large hotels. Materials and evacuation procedures were rewritten across the hospitality industry. The MGM reopened 3 years later under a new name, its architecture redesigned with safety as its foundation. The disaster's legacy endures as a turning point in how modern hotels protect the people who sleep within their walls.